Welcome back. You're watching Startup Street. Revenue operations startup Clientele has raised $2.5 million in its seed round led by Bloom Ventures. The round also saw participation from Chirate Ventures, Artha Venture Fund, and Silicon Valley-based Z5 Capital. Earlier to this round, the startup had raised $600,000 from Chirate Ventures, Sonic cohort at the end of 2021, co-led by Artha Venture Fund. So how does the company plan to use the funds? We have Sahil Dhaka, the founder and CEO of Clientele, and also with me, my colleague Ritu Singh. Sahil, thank you so much for joining us on Startup Street today. You know, you're a revenue operations startup. How are you using artificial intelligence to improve productivity, reduce costs of multiple tools for the companies you work for? Tell us what's on offer.
First of all, thanks for having me here, Arundhati and CNBC. Of course, I've been watching this show for a while now, and then glad to be here in person as well, right? So basically, in terms of how we're using AI in general, right? I mean, I think AI has become such a buzzword that people start to forget that it's a very varied field, right? You have generative AI, large language models, and different aspects of it. So the way we see it, right, is within revenue operations, which is all the activities that a company does to bring in revenue, there's a lot of manual tasks, right, which have to be done, right? And a lot of that sort of manual work combined with knowledge work can be automated with AI. And then we combine traditional machine learning with generative AI, right? So the way I see large language models or, a GPT is essentially more of a UI as well as something that can infer text, right? So if I was to say do a particular task, right, I can, as a salesperson or as a marketing person, I can have AI augment that workflow to do 80% of that manual work, and as well as that assist me with some of the knowledge work that I'm doing.
All right, Sahil, hi, this is Ritu. Quick question, this $2.5 million that you raised, give us a sense of how you're going to spend this capital.
Yeah, I mean, so our core focus, of course, is always on, as an engineer or a mathematician myself, it's always on building products, right? But along with that, we're also going to be spending a lot of this capital on sort of, so we're working with a few design partners. We're going to spend a lot of this on expanding our team, our product offerings, and then as well as a lot of go-to-market initiatives that we're taking up, right? So we're partnering with some other companies to sort of go to market with them. We're partnering with different AI providers to essentially understand, what models essentially we could build out, right? So a lot of this money will be spent on R&D, product development, and increasing our team, but also essentially on sort of making sure that, we're sort of getting the right traction in the market as well as our go-to-market initiatives.
On. But, Sahil, what's your current reach? Which sectors are you working across, and how many customers have you onboarded so far?
Yeah, so we're working so in terms of the industries that we're targeting, right? So most of our customers primarily are based in the US, right? We do have a few Indian software companies as well. So we focus on other software companies like ours, right? Because that's where essentially most of the sales are digital. But we do also target from the pharmaceutical sector, right? We do also target some sort of services industries, especially consulting services, right? And in terms of customers, right, we've onboarded a mix of customers both from the large enterprise market as well as a few smaller startups as well as other B2B SaaS startups in Silicon Valley, right? So it's a decent mix of pharma companies, enterprises, as well as consulting firms and smaller companies, right? And they're primarily spread out across the US and here in India.
Okay, Sahil, since you're in the business of revenue operations, tell us, since your launch in 2021, what kind of growth have you seen in your own revenues? And give us a sense of how the company is expected to grow ahead, even in terms of profitability.
That's an interesting question, right? That's what I ask myself every day, right? How are we growing as a company in terms of our own revenue operations? Now, of course, we're too early to sort of talk about revenue yet because our primary focus was on building models, and that requires a lot of R&D and a lot of, sort of working with. So generative AI itself is a very new concept to the world, right? It's only a couple of years old. So just working around that, building the most efficient product has been our core focus, not such revenue, not so much focus towards revenue, right? It's how do we deliver the value best? Like when I think of sort of somebody paying us for the product, right? In SaaS, you traditionally have your licensing fees. You also have different types of usage-based pricing. What I try to focus on is that AI agents will not sort of interact the same way traditional software interacts with you, right? So how do you then put a price to that, or how do you put a price to the value, right? That's been the kind of question that we're going to answer, right, in the next 1 or 2 years, where we want to sort of get to a point where we have, a couple hundred customers, and that's when we will focus more on the value delivery as much as just adding value. So in terms of how we deliver value, right, it's done through a platform. We have multiple Chrome plugins. We work out of Salesforce, Slack. Like, we're building different kind of plugins just to see where can we add the most value to a customer, right? Like ChatGPT, for example, is a very simple text-based interface right now. If you just imagine how else can you use that, right? In terms of different form factors, can that be something in your Excel? Can that be an email plugin? Can that be a Chrome plugin? Can that be an app? So in terms of how you want to deliver the value is sort of the question that we've been tinkering with for about 2 years. And then I think we're going to continue doing that till the next 100, 200 customers.
All right. So then can you list out like what your key targets are for this year? Where do you hope to end this year? What's the plan for this financial year?
Sure. So I know I recently wrote about this on LinkedIn as well, right? Like, our plan particularly for this year is essentially launching the first set of AI agents that we're building, right? And they're pertaining to sort of helping companies manage their Salesforce. So you can think of them as virtual CRM admins that you can hire, but they're essentially AI admins. So we want to get them to 100, 200 customers, right? In terms of revenue, I don't have a number yet, as I told you, but the approach to how we get that value delivered is more important to me. So what I would like to see is, us working with 200, 300 different types of customers, right? And then narrowing down the ICP sort of to just 100, right? Where we can add value, right? Now, what that would look like in terms of revenue, right? I think we're too early to say, but but I think that's the target, right? 100 customers is more or less a target. 100 customers that are deriving value from the AI agents, right? Because that itself is a very new concept.
All right, Sahil, thanks very much for your time here on Startup Street, and thanks very much for sharing your thoughts with us. We wish you all the very best.
Yeah, thank you for having me as well, right? I really enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, thank you.
All right, now the Indian Met Department